Today, Allison, senators heard from House impeachment managers and Trump's defense team. Our team coverage begins with ABC 7's Michelle Marsh. She's at our Capitol Hill bureau with all of it for us. Michelle?
Well, John and Allison, the events of January 6th were so well documented, with many of the rioters filming themselves as they broke into the Capitol. And so that is where Democrats began today. It was an emotional start. They took you back to the assault and reminded senators and the country, for that matter, why we are here for the impeachment trial of former President Trump. Now, some of the video was difficult to watch and relive, especially of the fighting on January 6th, but it really set the tone. However, President Trump's lawyers, they had a very different take. ABC 7 chief political correspondent Scott Thuman joining us live now. And Scott, what's happening at this moment?
Yeah, Michelle, just as you began speaking, they began.
Now back to our live coverage of the second impeachment trial of former President Trump. His defense lawyer just called the trial an effort to, quote, disenfranchise 74 million plus American voters. That attorney also saying that Democrats don't have to show movies to prove the Capitol siege happened. A reference, if you will, to how the afternoon started. This was a powerful video compilation. But the problem with that statement is those were real video clips of a real attack that happened right here in the nation's capital, leaving 5 people dead and leaving dozens of officers injured. It wasn't some Hollywood production. So we'll continue to keep an eye on the situation here at the Capitol. We'll send it back to you for now. Thank you. We have on the phone with us right now Senator Chris Van Hollen on the phone. Senator, we are glad you are safe and you are okay. We understand you were in the building when all of this chaos began to unfold. Please walk us through where you were and what happened. What did you see?
Well, this is a terrible moment for our democracy. I am in lockdown now. I had gone over to the House chamber for the joint session of Congress to begin the count from the Electoral College.
Do you feel safe where you are right now? Obviously, the situation is still fluid outside of the Capitol building, and there are still thousands of people out there. It doesn't appear that police have the upper hand on the situation. There's still reinforcement making their way to the Capitol building. Tell us what the overall sentiment is and who you are in lockdown with. Are you with your staffers?
I'm here with a couple of my staff members. We are safe. The President of the United States, who incited this action to begin with, now needs to go on television and tell his supporters to leave the Capitol so that we can restore order and get about the business of our democracy. That's what needs to happen.
Senator Chris Van Hollen, we will be in touch with you, getting updates with the very latest from inside of the Capitol. Thank you. Allison, thank you. We want to go now to our chief political correspondent, Scott Thuman. He is live for us now in Savannah, Georgia. You are covering the runoff elections. And Scott, I know you've covered politics in this town for a long, long time. Talk to us about the political implications for the country, the GOP, after a day like this.
Yeah, listen, Michelle, I mean, the chaos that we're watching unfold right now is going to have repercussions.
Do other Republicans need to speak out at this point now?
Yes, but think about what they go through, too, right?
Michelle.
Joining us now is ABC 7 chief political correspondent Scott Thuman. And Scott, you have covered a few inaugurations in your career. So much stood out from today. How do you believe historians will reflect on this day?
Well, Michelle, I think they'll look at it with the backdrop.
So President Biden has already signed several executive orders. By my count, it is 17. What are you expecting in his first 100 days?
Well, I think aside from the obvious of COVID relief.
Of course, you've had a front row seat to witness the layers of security, and you've seen it build over the days. You've been down there for a number of days, but this is really going to be a day remembered despite all of the security, a day that is so steep in history. You think about a woman rising to the highest office that we have seen in this country in Kamala Harris, and then Joe Biden being sworn in, the 46th president, now the oldest president in our country's history, and both former senators and both now facing incredible challenges. You spoke about some of the executive orders, John. Yeah, they have a tremendous amount of work to do. Today is the celebratory part of it, but day one is really right now, and they are already getting to work. They have to fix the economy. The vaccine rollout also needs to be corrected. And of course, advancing racial equity is on President Biden's list of things that he really wants to address.
There was a lot of anxiety about this day, what it might bring after the Capitol Hill riots that we all witnessed just 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, 2 weeks to this day. It's just incredible to think about what has happened in that time. But everything was peaceful as tens of thousands of police and National Guard troops stood guard, 25,000. Just incredible. ABC 7's Tom Rousey has been on Capitol Hill all day for us. He joins us live now with a day that had to be really, Tom, if you think about it, a mix of joy and relief that there was no incident today.
We have team coverage for you tonight from Capitol Hill. We begin with ABC 7's Michelle Marsh. Michelle.
Well, Allison, former President Trump's defense team got its turn today in the impeachment trial and did their best to punch holes in the prosecution's case. They say the former president's words were often manipulated or taken out of context and had their own videos to show. ABC 7 chief political correspondent Scott Thuman is monitoring it all from Capitol Hill. And Scott, they said it would be concise and true to their words. It was.
Yeah, really short, Michelle. In fact, taking just on.
We are live on Capitol Hill. It is day 4 of former President Trump's second impeachment trial, and this trial, it is moving quickly. We're already in the next phase. Right now, House managers and the defense are answering questions from senators. We should point out within the last hour, the defense concluded their case to acquit Trump. His legal team making the case that when the former president told his supporters to, quote, fight like hell, he didn't mean it literally. They zeroed in on those words and that point using repetition as a key technique. To make their point, we saw what could be summed up as a greatest hits reel of Democrats using the word fight. Take a listen.
We need to say loud and clear that we are ready to fight.
It's a bare knuckles fight.
Now they're going to have to actually fight back against people.
The fight has to be conducted.
It's so important that we need to fight.
Fight that fight.
We have been fighting.
I was fighting very hard. Time is of the essence, both in terms of the fight.
I think we should be fighting.
So there's a lot of question about whether fight means fight or if it's the literal sense. Editing those clips together was an attempt to show that the word fight is passionate political speech that's often used by both sides. Democrats will weigh in, though, and say none of their speeches led to the tragedy that we saw on January 6th. Faith Abube shows us some of the day's other key moments. Federal prosecutors, meanwhile, are closely looking into communications between paramilitary extremists who they say played a key role in the Capitol insurrection. The Justice Department is looking at texts, social media posts, and the walkie-talkie app Zello, where rioters connected while inside the Capitol. Authorities say they've used more than 500 subpoenas and search warrants to bring in evidence. Again, happening right now, the question and answer portion of the trial is underway. Trump attorney Bruce Castor attempted to dismantle the carefully crafted case made by Democrats earlier today, dismissing much of the evidence that they put forward, saying this trial is about silencing and banning speech that the majority doesn't agree with, and about cancel culture. He has also claimed that what happened on January 6th was not an insurrection. 7 on Your Side is streaming the impeachment trial right now on WJLA.com. You can watch it live. And of course, we will bring you coverage throughout the night. Allison?